So that I would always bring we should just graduate. But if I say
So Lisa said it wasn't on. She said, did you press start? I said, I think I did, so I've just hit it again.
will you really give us this time? Because I like so many colors change out.
So 5 minutes up yet?
Oh, the 5 minutes are up. Okay. So, as I can hear, we met everyone, all need to share the experience, but what was that like? How did that feel? Because some of you don't know each other, right? At the table, you all know each other. No. So you don't know each other. And I asked you to do something like, I'm asking you to talk about your feelings to people you don't know. Right? I'm asking you, like, who can we actually help? Like, that's personal stuff that we're asking you to share. So what was that like? What was that experience like?
Icebreaker.
I'm sorry?
I felt it was a good icebreaker because we haven't done this in all the workshops. And it makes you feel more individualistic about it.
I get you to know who people are, but who you're sharing with. I'm setting at a table with somebody, I might know who I'm setting with. And even if I know him, if it was all 10 people here, I'm saying, I didn't know if I'm going to be setting with you.
Right. What do you
We're 18 people who are attending this workshop.
That's true.
I mean, we really are. We're in this field of giving. We make quick connections with people. We do quick assessments and good stuff like that. We place people.
You're not supposed to tell people that you're assessing. All of a sudden, I'm terrified that you've assessed.
We just do that because that's who we are. And that's why we're here. So we're a little bit different than the typical group.
All right. But watch what happens. You ready? Others? I'm going to come back to that in a second. Yes.
After sharing with her, I felt more connected than disconnected. And I felt that we had more things in common that we could pick up and go up. We could do stuff together because we had so much in common that we wouldn't have to verbalize it. I said everything.
No, everything. So, but wouldn't have to verbalize. I love that. Which I'm not telling you what we do.
I was going to say
Oh, she uses my words. Relationships. Vulnerability. Yes.
but it does say that.
Safe. Yeah, keywords. Yeah, right.
What I actually found is that we're all here, it's funny, for, I call it a common goal, and think about what we do on a day-to-day basis. We're in the health professions, so we have that kind of framework before we even started. So it's easy, call it an icebreaker, but it's easy to be able to come to the conference, go to the workshop, because you're people that you may not know individually, but they're here for the right reasons. It makes it easier to network.
Thank you. I'm one of the shy people. So it took me just maybe, as you say, like an hour, but I just took a big breath and I just said, okay, let's open up. Once I know, and it doesn't take me that long to know someone, but once I know them, I mean, there's nothing shy about me, but initially in that 33
And so, like I said in the beginning, we use this on our staff meeting and with the women. So when we created, just a little ahead of myself for a second, but when we created this model, we didn't create it for women who are incarcerated. We created it for women. And so, and of course, the gentlemen.
And gentlemen who hand out and work with women.
And I love, that's right. And this is what we say to the women. Just because we are a woman-centered organization and everything we do is about empowering women, we do not negate the man. Because in order for us to be whole, we need to know how to be with the man. I mean, in terms of relationships and working with them and all of that. So that's really important. So that's one thing. So let me ask you this. When you answered the question, who are you? Give me a couple of things that you said. Did you say your name? You said what's your name? What did you say? Okay, so here's the thing. I like the safety of this. And by the way, because we're about teaching moments, a part of what we do often is about the circle, right? Because there's a connectedness to that. There's energy that flows around the circle. So that's why, and it's okay, rather than get, oh my God, it's straight lines, it's not gonna work. Right? We got a good table. I was running around sweating, carrying on. Yeah, but this is important. The circle is unbreakable.
No, she was tapping on the table. Soon she'll be standing on the table.
So here's the thing. I need you to say that again. What did you say? What you said?
Yolanda.
Yolanda.
I said I'm a Black woman.
Okay. Black woman, single mother of 4. Some others. Did you just say your name or did you say something else? Just your name.
And I heard Yolanda say that I'm a Black woman, mother of 4. I'm probably just supposed to say my name. And I said, no, not necessarily. Yeah.
And see, as women, what happens is because we are women, because we are caretakers, because we are mommies, and we're grandmothers, and we're wives, guess what we say? That's it. But we are more than that, right? And so what we try to do is to get these women who are broken, who are fractured, who for a very long time, they were probably just their name, did that. How about Miss B? You know what that B stands for, right? How about, all those negative things that people call them? So we say, no, we have to get you to realize who you are. And that's hard, because some of the women say, So we work with them around that. How are you feeling? How many of you said what you would feel? I heard, what's your name? Mallory. I heard Mallory talk about what she really is feeling. Some people can't do that. What do you say?
I disagree. I thought it was
What was it feeling?
I felt really excited.
Yes. Any others? Would you talk about what you feel? Because here's another thing. We have to talking about what we feel. Because we have these brick walls that we built up because we're not supposed to feel. We're not supposed to allow people to know that I am hurting, that I am elated, that I am sad, that whatever that feeling is, we don't share this. Right? And so I don't know if there's a saying in the States that you don't actually absolutely the same. I feel some type of way. I'll say that here. Good.
No, don't start either.
So you ask someone, how are you feeling? Or they get upset and they go, I feel some type of way. So I go, okay, what are you? What is it? Because I need to know, are you angry? Are you excited? Are you in pain? Are you elated? What's that feeling, Bert? So this may sound childish, but it really isn't. We have a list of feelings that we give to the world. So that they can begin
the emotional contour.
So they can begin to look at that and get an idea of what it's like. Because we assume that just because these women come in adult bodies, that they're experiencing some of the stuff that we are experiencing. And that's not necessarily the truth. And we gotta teach them with love, guide them into a place where they can feel it. Yes.
You know, I sit down at the table, and because this is an academic setting, we did the whole thing of, I am da-da-da, and I'm da-da-da. And the very last moment, I said something that brought up an emotion, and we both connected on that one emotion. But it took us da-da-da-da-da, because we're in this professional setting, that we forgot what you even asked us to do, but we did connect at the end with an
Thanks for
emotion.
sharing that, because that's what happens. Now imagine if that was your, and not in the intellectual, but imagine if you went through your life not being able to express that part of you, not being able to be authentic, or not being able to show up in the part of you that's called love, because you don't know how to, right? Because of all of the abuse and all of that stuff that you've gone through, you've been through. So what we try to do is to get the sisters to see that they're deserving of that. Is it easy? No. But at the same time, does it work? Absolutely. So let me just say that. How many of you noticed that when you came and I shook your hand? I did that for a reason. Because when the sisters enter our space, we can't touch them. Okay, so I have to say, I don't really follow rules that well. We can't hug them. I don't follow rules that well. I'm working on it. And so I will shake their hand because the guard is there. And give me an opportunity to show that sister some real.
Yeah.
Don't get me in trouble. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I was late. Are your workshops only, I kind of said you were. Are your workshops only done?
So let me, so did you miss the parallel plan? Did you hear that part? That we're gonna operate on both? Okay. So, good question, that's all right, good question. So no, we don't just work with women who are incarcerated. Yes, we do a lot of our work. And there were women who have been touched by that system. At the same time, just like every last one of the sisters that are open here right now, guess what? If you send me out to your organization to work with your staff if they're working with me, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm bringing the same thing to you. Because again, we didn't create this for women who are incarcerated. We created this for women. We're gonna do an exercise later, and if you're honest with you, and by the way, what we're learning is that even though we don't talk, we're a woman-centered organization. So we talk about it. But brothers are going through a lot of stuff as well. That's not my expertise. And but we're gonna do an exercise, and we're gonna ask you to be truly, and ask you to share it. But I bet some of us in this room come up with a high school. It's gonna be the good. Okay.
I wanted to say one thing about this slide, because I'm usually the timekeeper when we're in there, and I'm like, we have to keep going. We're not gonna get through this. And Dr. Ernie's like, just go with the flow. So I'm trying to go with the flow here. I just want to point out in the corner of the slides that, I don't even know if you can read that back there, can't read it, but you've got it on your, you probably can't read that either. It says trauma informed. And so on each of the slides, we have a little note about what this is, and we'll talk more about that a little later. But okay, and I realized that this was not on. Someone has texted me and said, have you started yet? Oh. So I started it, and so now let me just switch back to the slides so that they can see what we're seeing. Technology, I tell you.
So while she's doing that,
it's great when it works.
The next piece is, what we do with the women is we say we need you to, in this space that we're in right now, we need to create what we call comforting women. A lot of folk will call it ground rules. But because of the system, we don't call it rules because they're governed by rules that, I mean, pretty much beyond their control. When they wake up, how they wake up, when they go to the bathroom, if they can use toilet paper. Seriously, it's painful. And so when they walk into our space, we say, this space here is sacred ground. This space here, we're going to operate it differently than what you're used to. Yes, it's still cinder block, still no windows or anything like that. But we're not going to operate the way they operate out there. So we say, comfort women, what would you need right now in this space, or whenever you enter this space, that will make you feel comfortable enough to share who you are as women? So I'm going to ask you to just, how would you want this time to go? This session and the next session to be governed? Characters, and you want to say something?
So he asked the question.
Go ahead.
To be open and honest.
And one of the other things I share with the sisters is, you will never see me that way. Right? And I say it to them because I want them to know that, yes, I'm a doctor, but don't ask me to spell. I'm dyslexic. And so I'll get up there and I'll be, B, shut the direction of the B. So, but I show up in my greatness, even in my dyslexia. And I want them to be, okay.
Anything else?
Anonymity.
See now, why you gotta use words I don't know how to say?
Anonymous.
No,
Don't talk it outside here.
I was gonna say, how about this extra thing, and don't say that, no judgment.
Oh, wait, that one I know how to spell, but I'm gonna come back to the other one. Sensitive.
And we also, seriously, if I don't know how to spell, I would ask you how to
Okay, so anonymity. A, two N's,
One.
one N. N-O-N-Y.
Just pick that up. That's good. We know what it is.
It's C.
Because I think anonymity
This
is
is a learning
different from
opportunity.
judgment.
Right, anonymity, no
Don't
judgment.
talk outside the room.
Yeah.
About what went on in the room.
Okay.
Or who showed up.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you speaking in the I as opposed to applying contact language to other people? So using I and
I statements. I'm sorry, I thought you were asking a question. Use I statements, thank you.
And that's why.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen to the other person talk. About the other person.
Listen. While others speak.
Okay. Can I just take a quick break? One moment, a quick thing. I realize that I wanted you to do this in that order that you have on.
Oh.
And it's okay, because trust me, sisters will say stuff like this. So now, you just put that up. And I need you to become the role of whoever you have there.
Great, thank you for that. And so this is something that we will review each week. It's a living document, and if we need to add something, revise something, we do. We'll check in with that each week. Okay, and then the pre-knowledge. I discussed this earlier. And so it is a 10-item true or false questionnaire that serves as a baseline. You'll take one and pass that back. A baseline for knowledge on the day's subject. So as I mentioned earlier, we are talking about relationships today. And as a co-facilitator, whoever that is, we always have two people in the room, so we switch roles as we're going through the course of the day, but we always read the questions because we know questions are anything that we're assigning. We know that people read on different levels. We know that comprehension is different. Over 12 cohorts of doing this, we've thought about changing some of the words. Don't get started yet. We've thought about changing some of the words because sometimes, every time, people go, well, what does that mean? And we thought, we don't want to dumb it down. How about I lift you up and let's teach you what that means? So we'll stop. What does this mean? What does manipulate mean? What is whatever word that they're not sure about? So feel free to go ahead. I will ask true or false after each statement that I read, but please don't answer out loud. Just circle it on your page or however you want to acknowledge your answer.
As this person.
As that person, yes, thank you. As your character. So, A healthy relationship is one where each person feels a sense of zest, vitality, and energy for each other. A healthy relationship is one where each person feels a sense of zest, vitality, and energy for each other. Is that true or false? Number 2, getting jealous and accusing the other person of cheating is a characteristic of a healthy relationship. If you don't accuse, you don't love. Getting jealous and accusing the other person of cheating is a characteristic of a healthy relationship. If you don't accuse, you don't love. Is that true or false? Number 3, in a healthy relationship, you do not try to confine or control each other. In a healthy relationship, you do not try to confine or control each other. True or false? Number 4, a healthy relationship allows you to have a greater sense of self-worth, which allows your partner to feel good in a relationship with you. A healthy relationship allows you to have a greater sense of self-worth, which allows your partner to feel good in a relationship with you. True or false? 5, in a healthy relationship, you can disagree, and it's okay to talk about your differences. In a healthy relationship, you can disagree, and it's okay to talk about your differences. True or false? Number 6, a healthy relationship does not empower you to act, nor does it give you the feeling of freedom to take action in your own life. A healthy relationship does not empower you to act, nor does it give you the feeling of freedom to take action in your own life. True or false? No cheating back there. Number 7, it is normal for 2 people to argue most of the time. It's a sign of love in a healthy relationship. It is normal for 2 people to argue most of the time. It's a sign of love in a healthy relationship. True or false? Number 8, it is not necessary to have good communication skills in relationships. It is not necessary to have good communication skills in relationships. Is that true or false? Number 9, name calling, criticizing, and putting the other person down is normal in a healthy relationship. Name calling, criticizing, and putting the other person down is normal in a healthy relationship. Is that true or false? And number 10, in order to create a strong love relationship, it is important not only to know when and how to set clear limits, but also to accept and honor the limits set by others. In order to create a strong love relationship, it is important not only to know when and how to set limits, but also to accept and honor the limits set by others. True or false?
If you want, you can put your name on there, and we need you to actually put your name on there. And if you can pass it up, we're going to collect it, and we'll give it back to you shortly.
And since I didn't hear everybody's name, it's really true. So I remember, that's fine. You know what? Yeah, as long as you mark it, then I can see, that's fine. You can do it at
It was really hard to do.
Yeah, wasn't
it?
Who says that the answers would be different?
I would
Well, let's see.
Don't answer that.
Oh, I'm sorry, then normally I would ask, do I need to repeat any? Because I might have gone too fast and somebody might have missed one, so do I need to go back and repeat question 1 or question 5 or anything like that? Question 5.
If they don't really understand.
If they don't understand, no, if they don't understand, then they're gonna put what they believe, or they'll leave it blank. Some say, I don't know, or it's both, and then we have a discussion about that. So I want to see what everybody says, and then we'll come back to it.
Okay, so while Katrina is checking those, did we get them all?
No, we're waiting on one more.
Let me answer that question. So there was a question here about what if they don't know what a healthy relationship is? this is actually going to give us an idea if they know what a healthy relationship is. And then what happens next is you're going to go through some small group work. And we will have a conversation about healthy relationships. What are they? What do they look like? But what we have to keep in mind when we're doing this work is what seems to be healthy to us may not be healthy to them. Did I say that right? Yeah. Okay. And the other way around. So we have to get them to the point without, because remember, for the most part, the women that we're dealing with are women of African descent. I don't know if that's the same way here in the prisons, but in the States, the majority of the women who are behind bars are of African descent. Now,
At our prison, there's approximately, I'd say, 100 offenders and maybe 7. Just to give you a ratio.
and that's because of the population here?
Yes.
Okay. And so here's the other piece that I was also going to say, is that the numbers, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later, is that they are also starting to shift slightly. And I don't know if here it's because of heroin, but in the States, that's what it is. So then we have to begin women to look at, and this is what women will say, I don't want to work with women, they're the most difficult people to work with. And I go, who are you? Hello? I think you are a woman. So until we begin to respect ourselves, then we're going to be in trouble working with these women. We have to first get a hold of who we are as women so that we can pay it forward. And we've heard that with women who are working with them. I can't stand working with them. So what do you think the atmosphere is like with those sisters who are trying to not, I mean, they've already been victims of something. And trust me, some of them did stuff to get in there. I'm not saying that they didn't. But when you begin to look at the trauma that they've suffered and why they are using these drugs, this is something that we have to think about. So whenever we do our exercises, whenever we do our tasks, we keep that in mind. And so again, parallel planes, you're doing this, you're watching it, but you're also looking at them and trying to figure out how can we best serve them. Okay? So the next one, Katrina, yes, is the activity.
Okay, so everything that we do in class is done, I'm sorry? Yes, I did hand it? I did hand it out. Is done in small groups or pairs. So,
Can you sit there, please?
so what it says, what are you willing to bring to the conversation of healthy and unhealthy relationships? Melody, I'm punishing you.
Again.
As a group, you have 15 minutes to complete this workshop, or faster. Breaking down relationships. So in 5 minutes, talk about characteristics of an unhealthy relationship. As a group, come up with at least 3 characteristics of an unhealthy relationship and how each could potentially affect a relationship. You also want to take 5 minutes to write down at least 3 ways to potentially correct the negative behavior. And number 3, you have 5 minutes to come up with a short definition of healthy and unhealthy relationships and answer these questions. What are 3 important qualities of a healthy relationship? What are 2 reasons why people may not make healthy choices when it comes to sexual relationships? And 3, what are 3 signs that someone may be in an abusive relationship?
Now, before you get started, what's going to happen is I need 3 roles to come out of your group. I need someone who is going to be responsible for the time. You have about 15 minutes to get this done. But we have about 15 minutes to get this done. I need someone to make sure that your task is being completed and that you're getting it done within the time frame that you gave. That's one role. The other role is that you need someone who is going to report it to make sure that it is a collective answer, a group answer. It needs to be recorded on a piece of paper, and it needs to be a consensus. And again, for those of you who aren't talkers, I need you to lean into it. I need you to have your voice in this room. For those of you who talk about, be mindful. Please, just be mindful. And then the third one is
We need somebody to support us. So we need one person who
We
can
still
stand
doing
up.
it with our role.
That's your role.
Still in your role until we say cut. That's your role.
I don't mind, so I'll go through this time. I'm gonna try to look at that time.
The whole side. I didn't know
You're in the other room.
We have to finish this task.
The other one.
Yeah, but we need
someone
finish the task, you know. No, I didn't get that. I'll get to my friend.
You didn't get anyone?
That's your charge. That's the thing that your charge. By the way, those pieces of paper that you have, that's the charge, right? The charge that's a charge that you've been given. Okay? That's the charge.
We're guilty though.
That's the role that you're in. That's the charge that they give.
Okay. I'm in prison, but I'm in.
Well, that's one. You know what the
Okay.
What's my rank?
Physical abuse in the household is in a relationship that will make it. Right. But still, they right now, unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a person who is changing welfare of my children, that's very much, so. I don't think you can really do something.
That's good. That's why I said that's great. It's the intent that you have. So this would help physical You don't understand. I got to a situation where I really didn't do anything. And they're accusing me of attempted murder, conspiracy, but I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. I was a professional. Yeah, I feel like that's right. And then, so that's why I use professional terms.
So now you're okay.
I am somebody. I'm in here.
In prison, you know better than me. I didn't say I'm like better than that. I still here with me and I didn't do anything.
They were playing.
Okay, I took it for everything down. All I gotta say is y'all talking about, you're talking about. We're talking about, we may finish this activity. That's why you're here. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I do.
We have three.
Thank you for trying to get it on. Right now.
Overachieved on my phone, it does not retaliation.
You do that. Forget my butt, you'll do
That's not my first title picture.
I think we should get projecting your. Okay, what's 3 ways?
Well, you guys have any conversations also, you here.
So third time you You're talking about physical abuse. Wow. Be yourself. You just have to find out. Okay,
We're on number 3 now.
I think it's balance. It's given. I think balance related to personal. I think it's, well, we're talking about yeah, we're acting as but I said it's on the basic needs.
Yes.
So, because of, time, we still want you to work on, we're gonna give you about, 5 more minutes. How much time do we actually have? 5 minutes. 5 minutes? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, for the 15?
Whatever they want.
Well, you know, with the free, she was like my man. So he turned around a little bit. Kind of blind eye. Yeah. But he doesn't want to next to the road.
Whatever, and it's all online, whatever they. I that's all. Being done, I don't know, it is
Come on, girl.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay. Sure.
like,
It's really good.
So,
What's really important qualities of relationships?
We can go way down here, I was thinking, not having.
When it comes to, unhealthy sexual
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm certain words and saying,
All right.
Oh, that's something.
Mary, we done this one because we only have 1 minute left. Okay.
Whatever brings.
And then we're going to end with that 1 minute.
Or even if
Okay, so start wrapping up, please. Start wrapping up if you haven't already. If you haven't already, please start wrapping up. Okay. Are you ready to present out? You know who's presenting? Who would like to go first?
All right.
Awesome. So what I need you to do is when you are presenting, I need you to stand.
Really?
Right there.
Sarah's going first.
Going first.
Okay.
Did you want me to go through the whole thing?
You don't have to read it, just tell us your answers.
Okay. So for the first one, for unhealthy relationships, we have distrust, not listening, or cheating. Ways to correct that negative behavior could be retaliation. For maybe try harder or to get that other person to listen better. Short definition of a healthy relationship is provide the things, clothes, jewelry, etc. Let's start it on that one. An unhealthy relationship might be not having my back, name calling, or using targeted words that really kind of set me off. Three important qualities of a healthy relationship are safety and love. Really got two. And two reasons why people may not make a healthy choice. Maybe history or loneliness. And three signs that someone may be in this relationship. Drunkenness or use or even
What was the retaliation? What's that?
To fix something in an unhealthy relationship. So if someone does something to me that is an unhealthy way, I would fix the body.
What's the topic?
Three characteristics of an unhealthy relationship.
And the question was to, what's the second question?
Ways to potentially correct the negative behavior.
So you correct negative behavior, but the negative.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to that.
We
We will definitely come back to that because I want to know how that works with you. You know, has been working pretty well, so I want you to hold on to that, okay? All right, whoever put that out there, and here's how we work, by the way. Right there. Who wants to go next? At least two.
Okay, so
Just
the
the
characteristics of unhealthy relationships: being disrespectful of others, lack of self-respect for yourself or another person. I lack self-confidence, lack self-respect. How can I be positive with somebody else and respect other people? Okay? Controlling person, so if I'm a controlling person, it's kind of what I just said, but I guess I told them to say, well, if I'm a controlling person, I'm not respecting other people. I don't value their opinions. Balance of power, no purpose. Also, lack of self-control, projecting feelings of violence, anger, and emotions. Three ways you can correct that behavior with self-respect. All others have a voice, self-control. Short definition of healthy and unhealthy relationships: trust, good sense of self, self-awareness, self-control. That's a healthy relationship. Unhealthy relationships, significant imbalance of power and respect. What are three important qualities of a healthy relationship? Trust, respect. But whatever, two reasons why people do not make healthy choices: lack of low self-esteem, sexual abuse history involved in prostitution. What are three signs that someone may be in an abusive relationship? Always says what partner wants, isolated from family and friends.
Thank you.
So one is cheating, physical abuse, endangerment, and non-force. goal-oriented. Things are discriminated behavior, instead of talking, be aware that there is a problem, and you need to try harder and do better. 3, how to really balance the that's a wait.
Balance.
I didn't agree with that, but she picked it.
Okay.
I disagree.
Balance.
I said as long as the bills are paid, as long as the bills are paid, but we also put, we need to support each other. And then an unhealthy relationship was, if our needs aren't being met, if the man or if the woman is being happy to pay all the bills. I guess that's maybe what she's saying. Basically, because I can't be able to yeah, we didn't look at some things. Number 1, what are the 3 important qualities of a healthy relationship? Oh, we said it's the same. Okay, so then number 2, but what 2 reasons people may not make healthy choices? Maybe they trust too much, or they have a history of abuse, and their self-worth is low. And then we put 3 signs that someone might be in these relationships, like abuse, depression, and first dad. I didn't see her first dad. She said that he didn't really happy, but I didn't think we should put these in this. And then later,
Throw people under the bus.
Okay. All right. So thank you. And for the sake of time, usually what I would do is when there is what I call a red flag that is just great, and it's out there, we address it, we talk about it, and we get the group to respond to that. Because I don't want to be the one up here. Here's what we believe. We are not the experts. The experts are those who are in the room that are actually experiencing it or have experienced it. So we need them to bring that to the table. We tell them, bring you to the table. So I went there just a little bit. Oh, and I go there. So with the whole negative retaliation, we will go there. Because what we want is for you to not end up back in school. So this whole thing that we're doing is about cognitive shifting. How do we begin to get you to see yourself in a different way so that if you are usually the person who acts from that place, we now want you to shift slightly so that you can begin to act from another part of who you could potentially be, right? So we get into that, we really go into that so that the experts help us to heal. Okay, so we will go into that, we will have conversations around, especially this table. The 2080, what? That's a balanced relationship.
Yes. Go ahead. That's my Libra sister.
I don't know. You could put 20 pounds and 80 pounds on the Libra scale, and it will not be balanced.
Please, I know I'm late.
No, I don't care what you say. That is not a balanced equation. So let's go.
Yes, it equals 100%.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Here, let me say this to you. For
They gonna
those
get
women who really
She'll
believe
get us.
that when you go into it, right, in the moment, let's see. And in the moment, we ask you to bring it to the people. So, in a relationship, if you're in a relationship and a person is only bringing you 40% of them to the relationship, and I'm giving you 100%, but by the way, 50%, I can only bring 50. What the heck is that?
Yeah.
What is that? I want 100%. I want 100% of you. Because if you're only showing up and happy, you're not really allowing me to know who you are. Don't make me go there. And we'll fight up, but we don't have time right now, but we do that. We will go, listen. Then the intellect into the room, because I ain't got time for that. So that's what we're doing because this is so sad. But I got something to say. And listen, there's for every one man, there are 3 women. And so if I got him and he's good and I'm sharing him as long as he, listen, and there's a man. Can I just be, can I be?
Yeah.
Can I bring, okay, so here's the other thing that
Oh,
I
let me turn the camera off.
He doesn't have to. Here's the other thing that I say to the sisters, and I hear because we have to, because they think that that's an okay relationship. And so I go, listen. That's how we should. But what else is we doing? Just like I told them, if the only thing you have to bring to a relationship is your lipstick and your vagina, you ain't bringing them to the relationship. Okay, so, and I can do it. I don't care what color system you are. I'm going to bring it straight to you because I want you to realize that there's more to this than just this. And I need you to understand so that you can begin to show up in your greatness, in your power. Take your rightful, virtual place as women. Okay? Don't make, all right, I'm off track. So we're going to shift. We're going to shift. So we'll get into like really get into our tasks, that we have up front.
And what I didn't say earlier is so that all tasks are done in pairs or small groups. It's psychoeducational rather than didactic, so we're not up here lecturing. If something takes, it's you've never seen a lecture like that, have you? Right? So it's not just talking at, but instead participants are encouraged to talk in groups about the subject, to role play, and then to problem solve with peer group support. Okay. That was for people online, and then we reported back the stand and deliver, how to present yourself. Perhaps you've never before. By the end of the series, you're very comfortable with it. We processed it. Okay, so the pre-knowledge evaluation was very interesting. Oh, I put them on your table. So we've done this in a number of workshop settings. And what has happened in each of these workshop settings is people have scores of 10, 20, 30. Now, some of you have some 80s and 90s. We didn't have any hundreds in the room today, so we're going to try harder next week, right? But we're going to talk a little bit more about the scores later. I'm not going to take the time right now to talk specifically about any of them, but we would. If I noticed that a number of people got number 2 wrong, we would spend some time on, getting jealous, and if you don't accuse, you don't love. And we'll debate it. And what we've come to realize is when these questions were made, they were made with our lens. And over the years, over many of conversations, we've seen someone else's lens. And if you can make a good enough argument why you believe what you believe, I'll give you credit for it. Because you have to be able to stand up for yourself, you have to be able to advocate for yourself. And then there's a teaching moment about, okay, that really is not a healthy relationship. But if that's all you've ever seen, if that's all you've ever witnessed, you don't know anything else. You don't know what you don't know, right? So we're here to teach, but we're going to come back to those scores later. We're going to come back to those scores later. The scores, because we talked about the average score, yeah, which is what? Of our women? The average score in here? The average score in here is probably about a 40 today. Go there.
Okay, so let me just say this. The role that you took on, and I don't know why this happens, but some people, and as I walked around and I listened to the conversations, and by the way, we do that so that we can, as this, do they call it ear hustling here? No, I'm sorry, you fell. So you want to find out what's happening, right? So you walk by and just get a little pyramid, so they call it ear hustling. So you want to find some information out. You just say, ear hustling. So we walked around and we listened to the way in which you took on those roles. And here's what I want to say. For those of you who do not work in this system, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to do it. in that. I heard someone else. You will not find a lot of negative, stupid women. You will not. Here's the thing, there are circumstances that put them there. Yes, they might not have a high school diploma or GED. They may not have a lot of experience on the job, but they have something there, right? And then some of them will just blow us out of the water, just sitting there having a conversation with them. So when they show up, yes, they're charged. And so one of the things that I also heard was that people began to really become this negative thing. Right? They took on the negative. That's not, I didn't say that. I just said, we'll get charged, right? Make it happen. And immediately, some of us would, right? They show up in that system with the charge. They're still awesome women who need help because they're broken, because they're vulnerable, because they are traumatized, because they are victims. There's nobody that they victimize. So we don't pretend that that's it. But we want you to begin to look at. And by the way, they don't really share their charges. So some people share their charges, they're not going to share their charges.
At least not in that form. Right. So I skipped ahead to a slide from this afternoon just to show you the difference of all of the women that we've worked with. The average score on the PRI is an 84. I'm not quite sure what's an 84 when they're rounded numbers, and sometimes I give a half point, but statistically it came out to an 84. So some of you took it as you would. Some of you, I think, went and said, well, I would say this is true, but I know she would say this is false. So did the exact opposite, and maybe miss one or two. But that is not what we see on the inside. The scores are so high that at one point someone questioned, well, then what value are you giving? Because their scores are already so high. We'll talk more about that this afternoon. They do go up, though, you see this. They went from an 84 to a 93, so there is some value there. There's a lot of value, but it's not representative of she has no sense. The only time, and I don't think we've ever had a 10, I think maybe 40 or 50 is the lowest score, and that's someone who really just had some mental challenges and just could not comprehend what was going on.
Yes, you would. Yes, you believe it. Sometimes people know what a healthy relationship is, but they still say
Oh, yeah.
even though they're answering.
Listen to what she's saying. Say it again. Do we actually believe that
There's word I can use for. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry?
Like some of these questions, they're kind of complex. But when I put the answer to it, like, I'm gonna say, okay, yeah, this is correct. But in my head, I'm like, oh man, you know, he does yell at me sometimes, but it's okay because he's having a bad day, or he came home drunk. You know, so it was okay to be thinking. But they're answering on this. They're agreeing with you.
But here's the thing. Let's take that for a second. We may have someone, let's say, that's the woman that we're dealing with, right? She may feel that way. But when we begin to have dialogue, so regardless of how it shows up in the room system, regardless of how it shows up in the room, we have to teach to it, right? So she may feel that way, but once you begin to help her to understand clearer what a healthy relationship is, you're playing sense. So even if she feels that way, and she's just trying to play those peekaboo, I'm going into the way they want me to answer. The good thing is, she knows better. Right? So, to pretend or not to pretend, that's the end. Yes. Well, I pretended so hard. We should get a 2. And I'm a type A, but I got a 20 on this list. Because the way I answered the question was of a person who had been violently assaulted. And I couldn't believe that I would have known any of these answers. I just couldn't believe I would have known these.
And you may not have. And you may not have. And
But when you said the majority of the people,
I wanted to be in the majority.
You're in the majority in this room. You're in the majority in this room.
And that happens often, like I don't know what that is though. So here's when we talk about trauma-informed gender responses. Just because she's been through all of that, it's okay that she doesn't think. We've had sisters that have come through that. But so we have to get into to see the whole woman instead of that broken piece that's in our head up. Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so you're just gonna get the assignment to see what an assignment is like. We're not gonna actually do the assignment right now. But each week we do give an assignment. This is never graded. The only thing that's scored, the only thing that's scored is the pre-post, and we copy them and we give them back the following week. These, they will do for the week, before they come back the following week, and we don't score it. We don't check it for grammar, we don't do anything. But we do have to stand up and deliver it. So one of the things that we say is to write only what you're comfortable sharing because you're going to present it to the group. So although we talked about, well, I flipped the page, but confidentiality and what happens in this room stays in this room, sometimes somebody might not hold up to that. So be careful about what you share and make sure that if you share it, you know that you were empowered to share it. If somebody else takes that now and does something with it, but you were empowered when you share it, right? So you're not going to have to do the assignment, but that would be what they would bring back next week.
And some people would, some people may ask, like, why are we doing this, or if they really do the assignment. If you have higher expectations, you have high expectations of them in terms of respect, they're going to show up in the best way that they could possibly show up in that system. It's just the way in which we are dealing with them. We are seeing them, we are interacting with them. If you trust that what you have to give them in terms of healing is proper, guess what they're going to do? They're going to respond to that. At least we've been in the system for 2 years now, and that's what we have. I mean, I don't know what's happening here, or if it would be different. If we're women, how are we interacting?
Well, one of the things also about the pre-post, so I would collect it back, record it, make a copy of it, and bring it back next week. But I also bring reward stickers. So I have ones that say 100 or perfect or something, and they really want that. Some will, everybody who comes in with a table tent, so they've got their names on it. Some will decorate their table tent, some will put it on their bodies, their folder. Others don't want me to peel off the sticker because they want to be able to send it home to their children. So it's almost a competition about how many stickers can I get. And so, the 80s, the 90s, the 100s, I'll give stickers to. But if I see somebody's really trying and the highest they've ever gotten is a 70, you're going to get a sticker. Or you're going to get one that says keep going or keep trying or something like that. So in terms of handshakes, high fives, stickers, that's about all we can do. There's some other programs that come in and for graduation, they're like, are we getting fried chicken? I'm like, fried chicken? I'll buy you fried chicken when you get out. And not to stereotype, but we do promise the women on the outside that I'll buy you lunch, I'll buy you whatever you want. You just have to come see me on the outside. It doesn't end in here. Okay, so that's the assignment. Check out.
Okay, yes. So, and then once we take you through all of that, one of the things that we then say is we're going to do a checkout. We'll just go around the room and just sometimes the topics can be pretty intense. And we want to make sure that you're okay. So let's just do a quick checkout. Are you good? And because not good? Good. So good, okay. And because of the time, we're going to skip that part, but just know that we do that. And the reason we do it, and we also say to them, and we might feel like that was a relatively easy task, right? Activity that we did. This is what I want you to think about. When you go back to your unit or your cell, what are they talking about? Unit? Living unit? Okay, so once you go back to your living unit, and you're sitting there with your cellie, and all of a sudden, you begin to think about the relationships that we have. And you get this real uncomfortable feeling, I need to talk about it. I don't want you to hold on to it. So, and if anything happened that in terms of energy within the group that day, we immediately, once we're finished, we will go down to the social worker and say to the social worker, here is what happened today. I need you to look out for these people. And we will say to her, the woman, if you might feel fine now, but if you're feeling anxious, if you feel sad about something and not quite understanding why, just think about this. It may be like all of a sudden you're thinking about your relationships and things that you've lost because of the relationship or whatever it is you're feeling. Find a social worker. Find that you probably see those. And correctional officer. What's it called?
Primary worker?
Primary worker.
If you're in a female institution, you're primary worker. If you're in a male one, then you're CO.
Okay, so I like that. See, and that's gender responsive. There, that's awesome. So we want, and that's why I want to come and check out.
Someone else who's in the class, if they're in the same unit with you. So, yeah.
And so that's our checkout. Let's come back to.
Put the charges down.
Yeah, put the charges down. Let's come back to, these charges are charges of assisted death that come through our training. And there was one that says, be yourself, because you didn't do it. She did 17 and a half months. She's working with us now. And at that hour, because how long can you be in the system here before you are actually charged? Oh, see, that's interesting. Was that will you leave? Don't you get charged before you go in the system question?
You can be remanded to a mental institution.
So tell us more about the bail requirements.
Okay. So once you're charged, if you're deemed to go safe back out in public until trial sets, then that's fine. You'll be given a set of conditions, and you can live in public. However, there's some circumstances if the risk is great to the public, you will be held in Burnside because you'll be held in Burnside as a provincial institution until you're sentenced. Then after you're sentenced, you will do whatever time it is. If it's 2 years a day, it's federal. Under that provincial.
So the time until your trial could be
a while.
A while
For everyone.
3 weeks,
Year?
3 months.
No.
Years.
Yeah, and it's different for everyone. Do they have all the interviews done? There's different circumstances.
Okay, picture this, right? Say so. No,
It's not weeks, not even close to weeks.
in the States, here's what happens. I'm arrested. I don't have bail. I go to jail. And I go to jail and I stay in jail until my trial. Or until my hearing. Not even
Much tougher in the US than it is here.
Regardless of what it is, like,
If you have that's on your jacket, now what do you call it through all of your offenses? You call it jacket? Your docket, it's your docket, right? So if that is, and you've done it a number of times, you go there until, and it could be anywhere, like the sister had to wait 17 and a half months before she actually got to stand in front of someone. When she got to stand in front of someone, they said, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't do it. You get to go home. 17 and a half months, she was in that place without her daughter, without her family. And it was just, well, guess what? The whole country wasn't upset. She wasn't angry. She didn't present that way. Her whole thing was, I'm going to teach y'all. I'm going to rub you. This is what I'm saying, sisters. Don't think that everybody in that system has this real harsh mentality because they don't. They're fractured. They're broken. We're talking about trauma, informed care. How are we treating them? Allow them to show up in their womanhood. Allow them to show up and be brilliant, isn't it?
So when you gave us these, one was retail theft, taking merchandise, simple assault, deceiving stolen property. This person was charged and in jail, not just charged like I thought. She's just charged. She's walking the street. You just wait until. Oh, no. Simple stuff. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're in jail. We're doing this in jail.
US is much harder than Canada.
I like how you said, not simple stuff.
Not even close.
Yeah. So that's I mean, I'm serious, we have to make another trip out here so that we can really get an opportunity to really be.
Like, if you're found with a joint or weed or marijuana or something, that's stepped on or that's flushed in the toilet, you're gonna go to jail for that in the state. It's not even worth here, chances are it's not even worth going to court. Not even worth typing up a summary medication, it'll be flushed.
That's why the majority of our people are in jail.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
Okay, now it would be awesome if we really were at the end of this presentation, but we're far from the end of this presentation. So the good thing is most of you are coming back this afternoon, so we'll be able to continue, but let's see how far we can get as we talk about the model. So that was a simulation of what we would do on the inside. We're there for 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. We do a lot in those 2 hours. So building the model, there's a pre-release and a post-release component to T1W. As we said, it's the pre-release piece, which is happening in the facility, in the county jail, is a cognitive behavioral transformation training. For 6 weeks, we're looking at antisocial and pro-social attitudes, friends, and personalities. We never mention those words to the women. Never, never, never bring those up, yes.
How large a group do you have?
We can have anywhere, we've had as small as 3 and as large as 18. Now I'm talking last day, who actually stayed through. Because there's usually 20 some on the first day, and when they realize they have homework, you want me to stand up and deliver? I'm not coming back. So it ranges.
And how are they chosen to left?
I actually have that in the slide. I have that in there, so we'll come to that. It's an empowerment training. It's all about relationship building. So relationships among each other, relationships helping to build or rebuild relationships with their family and friends on the outside, if that's a healthy thing, and also building relationships with our organization. Melanie is one of the facilitators that goes in with us, and she also supervises our social work interns. So we're building relationships all around. We also will go to court for her, with her, when she goes. We will reach out to her family with her permission, check in with mom, how you doing, how can we help? You know, she'll be coming home soon, what can we do? And our training is designed for women who are within 90 days of release. Yes.
So are you telling me that in terms of the institutions that you're talking about, that there's no programming for women?
There's some. There's some. Ours is the best, but there's some. Yeah, there's some.
And they get reality
And let me say, there are, but they weren't designed specifically for women.
Right.
Now, they have programs, like there's this one, and I'm not gonna name it, that they use for both men and women, and it was created for men. And so what we're saying is, if we're gonna be gender responsive, you can't say, okay, even though there's no men here, we're going to deliver this piece to you. This is something for men.
Yes. The follow-up question to that is it something specific to what this program?
No. However, because of who we are, because of the main population is that African women of African descent, that's how it shows up. Now, can one of my white sisters come up in here and get something from it? Hold on for a second. What do I think? So here's the thing. As women, right? And that's what it's about. So we didn't go in with the design, black women are broken, so now we're gonna have to go and fix the black woman. No, since
Women.
come on, women. We are broken. I mean, so we as women get whole, then we can say, I can work with my sister and be okay about it. Okay.
And then there's a whole post-release component. So as I said, it's for women, and they wanted the luncheon at graduation. And I said, I'll buy you lunch on the outside. Because this isn't just about what's happening behind the walls, but this relationship is going to continue on the outside, and we can support you. So we have meet her at the gate. Because in Philadelphia, they let her out. I went to court with one woman a couple months ago. 10 o'clock in the morning, the judge said, you are free to go at 10 o'clock tonight. What the heck? Why is it going to take so long to get her out? So at 10 o'clock at night, they're giving her a token for the bus and $1 for the transfer in case she needs to get on another bus. If her family doesn't drive, if they can't come meet her, Now she's standing on a street corner at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, waiting for some bus. So we said, if you commit to us for those 6 weeks, if you're in our class, we will come and pick you up. Dignity bag, something else we created because the very first time we went into the jail and the women are telling us their stories and, you know, some have been through several times. I come in the summer, I leave in the winter, I'm leaving in the tank top that I came in with. Or they might give me a pair of sweats, but everybody knows where I've been because I've got on prison issues sweatsuit. Or I might have gained, freshman 15, anybody? She may have gained or lost weight. The relationship that she was in and where all of her clothes were is no longer, so she has nothing. We created the dignity bag. It's really a duffel bag, quite large duffel bag, changes of clothes, because we've asked her, what is your size? What's your favorite color? So we get clothes for her. Toiletries, not the sample sizes that we have in the hotel. Full-size shampoo and soap and stuff that's gonna last you a while. Fresh towels, we don't know where she's going. And do you have access to fresh towels? Calendar, a notebook, a pen, so that you can be where you're supposed to be, so you don't go back to jail for a technical violation because you forgot an appointment. Gender responsive wraparound services continue, case management, home visits. Some can't get to us. For whatever reason, they can't get to us. We'll go to them. Whether they're home with mom, whether their home is a treatment facility, we'll go to her. Ongoing empowerment training is available. We'll talk more about the women's risk needs assessment later, and then referrals to other services.
Okay, so when we designed this, again, we designed it, we're women, one is in between, woman's perspective, and therefore, gender responsive. And we're not apologetic about it. We want to be the experts in this field, working with women about this thing. And so it is what it is. We know that women, all of us, not just those who are behind the wall, may have experienced a very traumatic life. Trauma informed. We also know that these sisters come in, like I said, they may not have a high school diploma or GED, but they have life experience. They're coming with a wealth of knowledge as well. So a part of what we use is, I don't know if you're familiar with the adult learning theory or the learning style. It's really important that, so some of the women, they come in and they go, well, we look at them and we go, oh, that's so slow. No, have you tapped into the way in which she can learn so that she can present differently on the planet? Have you done that? Have you tried to tap into other parts of who she is so that when she stands up to represent herself, she's doing it in a way that she's comfortable? Imagine you having to act out of place in you that you're not comfortable. How are you going to do that? We also say to them, listen, we want you to shift the way you are interacting with people, right? So here's what I tell them. I trust CBT. And it's not, what's the CBT stand for?
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah, so we're not doing that. It's about transforming. Am I a psychologist? But we say to people, we want you to shift the way you are interacting. We don't want you to do a whole 9 at home. 360. What maybe? 360? Halfway is 180, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we don't even want you to do that. What we're saying is, imagine this is your path. And you are walking, and you know that that thing right there is the thing that gets you in trouble. We're asking you to shift and go into another direction so that you just shifting the trajectory, the way in which you're showing up. So we ask them to do that. So it's not threatening. It's not scary. I don't even know it's scary for them. Right? So we say, no, we're not going to work out of that model. We do a lot of group stuff. And we do it on purpose. Because we're not involved by ourselves. And in order for us to heal, sister, let me tell you something. In order for me to heal, I need you. You hear me? Sis, in order for me to heal, imagine if we operated on that. So what we're saying is, as psychoeducation, it's about groups. Right? Psychoeducation is about groups. It's about the collective. In your homes, you don't live by yourself. You have a family unit. When you go to work, you don't work by yourself. You have, people that you work with. So it's groups. And and they help us to get to the next level in the universe.
I'll go to that later. So since all of you said you were coming back, how was it, first of all? Have you changed your mind? Thank you.
I'm awake now.
You're awake now?
Yeah.
So
So,
you
you know.
so did we get to pretend our answers?
Can we have 5 minutes? Can we have 5 minutes?
If they want to.
Okay, so that's it. We can open it up for questions and processing for a second. Yes, go ahead. Defend yourself. And let me tell you how beautiful that is. Because that's what we want the women to begin to do, to feel comfortable, to stand up and take her voice back. You ready to do this?
So the question that I got wrong was number one. You guys are reading that wrong, or question or whatever. I said false, right? If I feel, and I'm not, stuff is over, whatever, I feel you have to have a healthy relationship with the spouse in order to have a healthy, in order to be in a healthy relationship, right? Because the way I interpret the question is like, I don't want to be all out or all into my partner and not be into myself, right? And that's how I make that, right?
That's the way you would have, and this is what we're doing, right? The way I show up, my lens, it's like it's filtered, it's coming in from my experiences. So that's your experience, and so now we need to really think about that and take that into consideration. And so because you were so kind and so like I'm gonna stand up for the I need to stand up, I'm not stuck. Right? That feels good to us because that's what we want them to do. And so what we will do is argue that point. And if she can make me see what she's saying, then I will go, sis, we'll work on that together. Will you help me to change this language so that it fits? Anybody else have a guess?
I have a question. When you gave us this questionnaire, I was making an assumption that it was with the person that was here, and I was answering the questions from that perspective.
Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you the best word she said.
When you first gave it to us, I started thinking, oh, this person is doing this person is negative. Okay, I started thinking negative. Then when you might remember, I said, is this person in death or no? This person is charged. So I started thinking of me and how I could have been charged.
That's right.
I didn't do it.
Right? We don't know if the charges are right.
So I changed all my relationships. This is changing when you were coming around. Because I said, that doesn't mean that person has done this or this person is bad or this could have been me.
And there you
I
go.
changed it right away.
Can you see her that way?
Oh,
Do you work with this population?
No.
She may volunteer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're volunteering, if you can bring that to the table to work with her, that's another.
And
All of them
teach
should have
other
been
people
approved.
that as well.
Yeah.
Because we all go in with our preconceived notions. Every day I have to remind myself, no judgment, Katrina. But we grew up with it, right? So,
I work in IA, which is income assistance for people who are on welfare. And my mom's passed, but my dad was alive when I started working. And the words I walked into that building was, there go I for the grace of God. Because I work with poor families. And every time someone came into my office and wanted something, there go I for the grace of God. And that can happen.
What was your point?
Oh, I was just saying, it's kind of the same thing, though. Even if this person did do what you're going to do,
Right.
it's still the same, just because I prosecuted or whatever, doesn't mean that I don't still feel that way or know what I'm going to do. I want to help right away, even if I'm not sure how to do it, or mentally I know how to do it, right, in practice.
don't know how to take those steps.
Exactly. Yes. I responded for the person that, and after listening to the group and being in the group setting, I could see why I was continuing in this relationship. So I could see how I could come out of it. I don't have to be this way. And I don't have to breathe this way because I was believing that, I was in a violent relationship. And so I answered this way, that I didn't believe these things could be possible because all these things kept happening to me.
not continue to repeat, because I've been in and out many times. And so this is the time that the light came on.
And what I loved about what you just said was, right,
I'm not like this group.
the light came through all collective.
Yeah.
So just that was profound. That's the work that we do, and that's how we do it. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say it's very enlightening because, you know, I work with women and my first thought when I read that was negative. She has done this. So I thought if I work with women and I want to empower them, the first thing I read about the charge is negative. I just go, okay, so I'm thinking them in a negative state.
Right.
And so I'm very enlightened. Wow.
Okay, so I'm not a real artist.
Very enlightened.
So while she's drawing, I just want to mention, so I handed you the post, which you would also do for your assignment. And on this one, instead of true and false, it's the same questions, but we ask you to agree or disagree based on what you went through in class today. Based on the conversations that you had in class, based on the conversations you're going to continue to have, and based on the assignment that you're going to do, did it get you to think any differently about this? All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry. We are going to, so what happens is, the woman comes in, she's a whole person, right? But what we do is we take that charge and stick it to pieces of the machine. And then that charge creates the whole person. And so I need you not to see her in pieces. Even if spiritually she's broken or cracked, how about if we saw her as a whole person, right? And began to work with her from that perspective. She's not a broken, she's not a pieces. Spiritually, maybe. All right, I can go on because I love it. I'm going to step down. Thank you very much for allowing us to do this piece with you.
And we invite you to come back this afternoon.
Hey, I want to say this, on behalf of those of the black folks who work here, and actually this group,
Yes.
I want to say that this workshop is picky. Very interesting, very informative, and I look at it as a reality based, even for folks that don't work in the corrections or the penal system. I'm a case supervisory system, it can be said, and I think some of these things back and forth, because your clients are our clients.
Right.
In reality, it's true. Yes, as you said, the whole person.
And for those of you who are in foster care and with child placement, which there was a lot of workshops on, and I know a lot of people who were involved, they might be in placement because their parents are incarcerated. And, you know, we're thinking that wherever else we put them has to be better for them than with that family unit. But we don't know the whole story. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Come back after lunch.
How do you stop this? Are you stopping this now? Stop sharing.
Oh, you in the same room?
Yes, yes. That's why we had them switch the room so we'd be in the same place. So I would get very introduction to the organization. We're trying to do an intro. And we are. We'll have a branch. They have something called alternatives to violence. That I used to do it. I go in. They go into relationships and stuff like that, and then transition.
They don't understand us. They're not gonna get us Libra. They're not gonna get us Libra. I get it. And it's not over. It's not over.
Right.
And
And sometimes,
my stress, like, exactly.
You don't come out and agree with everyone, right? You can put that in school.
But
October the 12th. I mean,
it's not fair. That don't make sense.
and nothing is fair.
That's why I'm so fair. That's not fair. Let me
She said he's an attorney. Teacher said she's gonna punish you, and the day came and you said she was gonna punish so-and-so.
I know
She was
that.
like, okay, y'all. She said, I was like, oh no, I just don't forget it. Oh no, we're gonna make sure he get punished.
They say social workers, lawyers, he's like the lawyers. Yeah, but they, I said,
What do you get your doctorate degree?
social worker.
I know, but what is your area? I mean,
Well, my
What do you do to
dissertation
research?
is on, the cultural sciences, working components of.
Oh, okay. You lost it?
So I'm looking at those.
So Tony, you're Tony's protege.
That's right. She's on my dissertation.
I know, you're Tony's protege.
I
Made
am.
some deep ways in my area. Are you from, you're not from Alabama?
No, I'm from Philly.
Are you in DC at all?
I am, because I'm the officer.
I know, no.
So I'm back and forth. Yes. Oh, I don't know. That's the IC committee. So yeah, I just, kind of filter the information out the organization, but those decisions, that's made by the.
No, I was just wondering how many people.
Oh, I don't know.
Wait, did you put that on yourself?
No, somebody made this for me.
Oh, because that's so, and I'm,
It
I can
actually
put
did
it
sew
on,
it.
it's like a quilt, but I just had that pattern, I put it on in the kindergarten, not kindergarten, that is the African quilt, and she just did
Yeah.
shape back and put it on. I do that.
Yeah, I should have known
Yeah, right.
that we were gonna be here.
I like that. I was, it's just taking the
This is my casual, I'm going home today.
Oh, yeah.
Are doing.
Get up out of here.
The Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they're your children.
I want to sign it. He's a pastor.
That's the thing,
Oh,
yes.
so that's why you have to do it.
No, no, I know, but I'm just saying.
I watched Steve and
So,
Oh, the preachers of LA? Oh, I didn't know.
and what the closest degree ourselves is 7 hours away. So we've never been to the one that's 7 hours away. The other we've been there times. You can't get there physically because all boys need to do this. So we had a conversation about this with them about
Somehow continue.
Because first kind of like
You can, absolutely.
so like you have time in June. Okay. We also have.
Oh, no,
But we have a transition period. So I appreciate what you mean. It's you don't get left to be you'll have a compromise. Sometimes you do have a environment you stay in certain things. That's why people are they'll have a fear of law, depending on what you have to do.
Let me just make sure the audio is off on this 1 second. Stop.